Phobophobia. It's night. You've turned off the lights, and you're supposed to be asleep. But for no clear reason, a wave of fear rises up from somewhere inside you. Not fear of anything specific, just fear of the fear itself. Your heart beats faster, your breath shortens, and your mind starts spinning the same thought. It's happening again. There's no danger in the room, no sound, no specific thought, just a raw anticipation that terror is coming for you. This is called phobophobia, the fear of fear itself. In this state, your brain stops looking for an external trigger and turns its alarm system on itself. The amygdala, normally responsible for detecting outside danger, starts reacting to its own physiological symptoms, a racing heart, sweating, dizziness, and interprets them as signs of danger. What separates this from ordinary anxiety is that the object of fear is no longer external. The sensation of fear itself has become the source of fear, a closed loop that feeds on itself. Most people who've experienced a panic attack recognize this state, because after the first time, the brain learns to fear the repetition of that feeling, not whatever originally caused it. Which means sometimes your own mind is the only enemy that doesn't need an external one. Anxious anticipation. You wake up on an ordinary workday morning. No important appointments, nothing's gone wrong, but in that very first moment of waking, you feel an unexplained heaviness on your chest, as if something bad is about to happen. You just don't know what. You carry that feeling through the whole day, that something isn't right, without being able to point to it. In psychology, this is called anxious anticipation. Here, your brain does the exact opposite of its usual process. Instead of reacting to a real threat, it's preemptively preparing itself for a possible one, even with no data to prove that threat exists. In some people, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for predicting the future, becomes overactive and constructs vague negative scenarios with no details, just a general sense of danger. What separates this from ordinary worry is that ordinary worry usually has a specific subject, while this state has none, just a nameless gray cloud. Most people learn to ignore this feeling, but never fully get rid of it. Hypnic Jerk. You're falling asleep. Your body feels heavy, your breathing is slowed, like you're slowly sinking into water. And suddenly, without warning, it's as if you've fallen through an empty step. Your entire body jolts violently, your eyes snap open, and your heart feels like it's stopped for a second. There was no real danger, just a moment of raw, unexplained fear. This phenomenon is called a hypnic jerk. The most common explanation is that as your body transitions from wakefulness into sleep, your brain sometimes sends contradictory signals. One part is shutting down your muscles so you can fall asleep, while another part mistakes that sudden drop in muscle tension for falling, triggering an emergency response. What separates this from an ordinary nightmare is that there's no story here, no imagery, just a pure physical reaction, as if your body got scared before your mind even had the chance to think. Interesting how your brain is ready to make mistakes even in the calmest moment of the night. Free-floating anxiety. You're standing in line at the bakery. Your day has been normal, but suddenly you feel an inner restlessness, as if you need to run. But from what? You don't know. You glance around, no one poses a threat, you haven't heard any bad news, but the feeling is there, suspended, without an anchor, without a target. Psychologists call this free-floating anxiety. Here, your brain has activated the stress system, but hasn't found a specific target for it. So the anxiety drifts between different things throughout the day, sometimes attaching itself to an unread email, sometimes to a forgotten appointment, without actually being their real source. What separates this from ordinary stress is that ordinary stress usually has a clear cause, and resolving it brings relief. But this kind of anxiety persists even when everything is fine, because its origin isn't external. Sometimes the calmest days produce the most restless feelings. Nyctophobia. The power goes out, or you simply turn off the light to sleep, and in that same moment, you feel a strange alertness in the darkness. Even in your own home, a place you've walked through 1,000 times, now every corner seems capable of hiding something. Your heart beats a little faster, your ears sharpen, and part of you is waiting for something to move. This fear is called Nyctophobia, fear of the dark. The most common explanation is rooted in evolution. For thousands of years, darkness really was dangerous because vision, our most important tool for hunting and survival, stopped working. Your brain still carries this old program, even if today you're behind a locked door in a safe apartment. What separates this from a rational fear of real danger is that this fear activates even in the safest places, because its subject is the absence of light itself, not a specific threat. Funny how millions of years of evolution still don't know electric light exists. Somniphobia. You go to bed, but instead of relaxing, you feel an internal resistance, as if your body refuses to fall asleep. Not ordinary insomnia, a genuine fear of sleep itself. Maybe you think that if you sleep, you'll lose control, or something will happen that you won't be able to stop while unconscious. So you stay awake as long as you can, even when your body is exhausted. This is called somniphobia, fear of falling asleep. This fear often stems from a fear of losing control. The part of your brain responsible for protecting you while awake goes offline during sleep, and for some people, that shutdown feels like a threat rather than relief. What separates this from ordinary insomnia is that in ordinary insomnia, a person wants to sleep but can't. Here, the person avoids sleep because the act of falling asleep itself has become frightening. Part of us always wants to stay awake, even when being awake is more exhausting than sleep. Impending Doom. You're sitting on the couch, the TV playing in the background. Nothing unusual has happened, but suddenly a strange certainty forms inside you. Something bad is about to happen. Not a probability, not a guess, a certainty. Even if you logically tell yourself everything is fine, the feeling won't leave. In medicine and psychology, this is called a sense of impending doom. Interestingly, this feeling is sometimes a physiological signal. A sudden drop in blood sugar or changes in heart rate can trigger this sensation in the body before the mind even understands why. Your brain interprets these internal changes as external danger, even when no external danger exists. What separates this from ordinary worry is that ordinary worry usually weighs probability, while this feeling imposes itself with total certainty, leaving no room for doubt. Sometimes your body sounds the alarm before your mind does, even when the alarm is wrong. Thanatophobia. You wake up in the middle of the night for no clear reason, and suddenly a heavy awareness that one day you will cease to exist lands on your chest. Not in a calm, philosophical way, raw and terrifying, a pure wave of dread that takes your breath away. This is called thanatophobia, a sudden, intense fear of death and non-existence. The most common explanation is that this fear tends to activate when your mind, in the silence of night without the day's usual distractions, confronts the concept of the infinite nature of non-being directly. The prefrontal cortex, which you keep busy all day with tasks and other thoughts, finally gets the chance to dwell on this when the night goes quiet. What separates this from ordinary philosophical reflection on death is that philosophical reflection is calm and controlled, while this experience arrives as a sudden physical attack with a real racing heart and real sweat. Maybe that's exactly why most people prefer not to think about it at all. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. If there's a term or a fear you know of that you'd like us to cover in a future video, let us know in the comments.